It's 2013. Jitendra Choksi, an IT engineer by profession, had been working in tech for nearly a decade, but finds himself navigating a tough spot. Office stress and managing home chores has made him 84 kilos and 16% body fat. At this point, he's been working out according to industry experts, fitness experts, for nearly 6 years, but the results have been pretty much abysmal. So he takes it upon himself to start from everything from scratch. The only problem is that he has no coach. Loads of non science based fitness advice has been peddled around for years. Things like don't take creatine, don't take protein shakes, lift heavy to gain mass. So by 2014, he gets into shape through a lot of self driven fitness education and decided to start a small WhatsApp group to assist other members. Cut to 2024. This WhatsApp group has become one of the largest fitness communities in India with 1 lakh members, thousands of transformations, and a business that's generating a whopping 100 crore in ARR. JC named the company Fittr. Now, Fittr has a fantastic business model which we'll break down in today's video where we cover first, the challenges in India's fitness market, second, how Fittr carved out a niche in a crowded space, third, their smart strategy to elevate their coaches as brands, and fourth, a model for community building that made them a super success. With that said, let's perspectivify the shit out of this.
So, the fitness and wellness tech in India is actually oversaturated. There are approximately 94,000 players which have registered themselves as a fitness or a wellness tech company. And out of those 94,000, there are approximately 12,000 startups that have raised over $12 billion in this space. And this is not to mention thousands or tens of thousands of fitness influencers who on Instagram who are trying to sell you their coaching services. Right? Now, if you double click on the fitness and wellness tech in India, you can basically divide it into two categories. The first is the digital fitness apps like Healthify Me, which are currently growing at approximately 13%. And then there is the other part, which is smart wearables like Ultra Human's Ring or their patches and all of those things, which is growing at 24%. What's interesting over here is that together, both of these industries are expected to reach approximately $14 billion by 2030 in India. Now you might be wondering, why are these sectors growing so fast? And what you'll realize is that majority of the Indians have some sort of a lifestyle disease. Now, if you look at the ICMR's report, what you'll realize is that 61% of Indians have some kind of non-communicable disease, and this was in 2016, right? Okay. This number might have increased over the years, let alone stay the same or actually decrease, right? So there are a couple of reasons why this is happening here in India. The first is the sedentary lifestyle. The second is the Indian food is actually, whether we like it or not, is not nutrient dense. And third, we are actually seeing an alcohol and tobacco use. So now we realize that the market is actually quite big. It's growing at such a fast rate. But there are 94,000 companies in the world who are trying to compete for the same user. So how does a company like Fittr actually distinguish itself? Now, with that said, let's go to the second part, which is the Fittr's business model. Fittr's business model is actually pretty simple, right? According to Jitendra Choksi, or JC, who is the founder of Fittr, he said he wants to do what's scientifically right for his community, and rather than saying that Fittr is actually a tech-enabled fitness company, he wants to basically educate users about the right way to train as well as intake food. What this means is that while all health and wellness companies are constantly trying to sell their users random stuff or random things, saying that it's healthier or it's good for you, Fittr on the other hand is saying that, look, being healthy or being fit is pretty simple. We will help you get those basic things right by primarily following 3 ways. So the first part of their business model is actually personal coaching or personal training. In this service, you are essentially assigned a personal coach who is certified. That coach basically gives you workout plans and a diet plan every single week. You can connect with him, he will help you motivate, and all of those good things essentially come. Now, I've been personally using this service for the last 1.5 years, and I've personally seen a lot of difference between how I was back then versus how I am now. Simply because at the end of the week, there is someone who keeps me accountable for that, right? Now, the way this business model works is actually pretty simple. Fittr takes a cut from the clients. You're able to, you as a trainer are able to acquire and retain, and for that, and for the cut that you're giving Fittr, you are essentially getting the Fittr's platform, the trust that comes with the platform, along with all the tech enabled features that essentially helps you make your coaching simple. For example, whenever I'm personally posting my pics, my personal trainer can actually go and see how I was doing or how I was looking 6 months back or 3 months back. Similarly, what my weight measurements were 6 months back versus now. Another example is that if I connect my my smartwatch to Fittr's app, it automatically detects and tells my coach how many steps I've walked every single day. That essentially helps me keep accountable and helps the coach make the right decision for the user, right? Now, what's interesting over here is that Fittr has a pretty strict policy of who they get into the system, because ultimately the coaches are the one who are essentially going to the user and building the brand forward.
Right.
So they're very selective. But if you get into the system, according to Jitendra Choksi or JC, an average Fittr trainer actually earns 1 lakh per month, which is quite a big amount to be
1
very
lakh
honest.
per month?
Yeah,
Are you serious?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. 1 lakh per
That's
month.
I feel like people need to discontinue doing their MBAs and start becoming fitter.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And you know what? A lot of people who have actually taken coaching from like a Fittr coach, after they have become fit and they've gotten their certification, they've actually gone back to Fittr to become coaches themselves, which is
Oh,
pretty interesting.
wow.
Yeah. And to
Right.
top it up, what you'll also realize is that the top 20% of fitness trainers earn approximately 4 to 5 lakhs per month, which in India is like a pretty it's a decent chunk of change. And you might be saying that you might be thinking over here that India's fitness market currently isn't that big, because only the top 1 or 2% or 5% of people can actually afford a 15 to 20,000 rupee service, which you need to pay every single year, right? But this is where the Indian cost arbitrage actually comes into place, because uh, because a lot of clients that actually Fittr has are international clients. Because of the cost arbitrage, it becomes like a no-brainer for them to come onto the Fittr platform and take their services.
And just to clarify something here, I think what you mean is not necessarily people actually from abroad, but more like NRIs residing in the
Yeah,
US, or
yeah,
other people, Indians basically staying abroad, right? Because
yeah,
it's obviously a massive benefit for them because of the
yeah.
cost arbitrage.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so there are different reports which essentially talk about different things. Some reports say that 41% of Fittr's revenue as of FY23 came from abroad. But according to some podcasts that we researched on, JC has said that approximately 70% of his clients who take personal coaching are NRIs or people living abroad, right? So, but the broader point is that a lot of their business actually comes from abroad to India, which is
Right.
pretty amazing. And as of FY22, this business amounted to approximately 82 crores, right? Now, what's interesting is that this is the first part of their business, right? Which is growing at 13%, whatever, right? It's growing healthily. But there isn't a lot of innovation that you can do beyond a point in time.
So Rakshit, I think when we were sort of researching on this, on the whole growth strategy as well, I came across a very interesting sort of a strategy, you could say, that Fitter has been using exclusively, right? Now I just happened to like look at Fitter's like social media, and then when I was typing, Fitter with, I think their main account is Fitter with squads, if I'm not wrong, and then JC also has his own account. I realized that there's a lot of accounts that says Fitter with, and I was like, what's happening here? I went to these accounts and actually checked and realized that all of them are actually connected back to Fitter. And these are hundreds of accounts. And I'll probably put up a screen grab here, uh, which seemed incredibly interesting. I was like, so wait, what's happening here is Fitter offers a platform for these people to come get, sort of the network effect of Fitter, get clients.
Yeah.
And in reverse, what the coaches are doing is that they are adding Fitter with, they're adding the branding of Fitter, they're tagging Fitter in their own social media handles, which means that even if you have like 1,000 worth of following on your account as a coach, at some point people are going to see that, hey, ICMR certified, a coach at Fitter, and probably start, getting some kind of brand recall. Right now, this
Hmm.
is absolutely interesting because if you can think, I mean, if you imagine, like, even if they probably rope in 300, 400 coaches over time, I don't know how much they have currently, but if they have like a lot of coaches, essentially you get this massive network effect of all the coaches posting about Fitter, probably posting stories about Fitter and how clients are benefiting. So Fitter gets this amazing chain of word of mouth marketing just through the coaches, right? This is a very interesting concept, well known in the marketing world, called as an employee advocacy program. Essentially, what it means is that if you have a broad base of employees, right now, it's probably not applicable to a startup of 50 people, but if you have, let's say, a network of thousands of employees, like a Starbucks, for example, right? What you can essentially do is you in some of your marketing material, you convince your employees to become natural brand advocates or natural brand ambassadors, right? So imagine if, like, so for instance, Starbucks actually did this a lot and even does this now, wherein it encourages all of its employees. It has a book of what what you can do for marketing of Starbucks, wherein it clearly outlines how to actually post about Starbucks as an employee. So imagine thousands of employees posting about Starbucks on their Instagram stories every single day, right? At some point, you have this massive network effect that kicks in, where people build brand recalls, start coming to Starbucks, etc., right? Another very interesting case study is that Cisco actually invested a lot of money in training 84,000 employees to become LinkedIn influencers, right?
Interesting.
And again, they
Okay.
have like an amazing, like, massive base of
Yeah.
employees. What
Yeah.
you can do is you basically brand all the employees as Cisco, basically have some branding material on their
Yeah.
profile, etc.,
Yeah.
and train them to post, right? Building a massive, again, network effect, word of mouth for Cisco, right? So very, very interesting strategy. Again, it is only applicable for companies where you have a big base of employees. However, one sort of word of advice is that when you're going out and building all of your company employee accounts, at some point, if someone scales massively, they might want to leave the company, might want to pursue their own thing. So you probably have to think about who to invest this time and resources into, and not probably just go berserk trying to grow everyone, right?
Yeah, that that actually is a very interesting point, and this is where I think, as I said before, right, Fitter is actually trying to build advantages as a coach that you won't be able to find if you go
Yeah,
if you go away from the Fitter's platform. So, for
correct.
example, the second line of their business is actually wearables, and they're kind of going into hardware now. And the reason for that is actually pretty simple. And as I said, that it is one of the fastest growing segments in the health and wellness space. There is a lot of competition over there, right? There is Google, there is Apple, Google with Fitbit, Apple with their Apple Watch, and then there
Right.
is Ultra Human in India. There is there is Whoop in the US. There are a lot of players in this market, right? But fundamentally, the difference between all of those players versus Fitter is that they have this huge network of coaches which can actually help you get fit. So you might get like a 30,000 rupee ultra human smart watch, right? Which can tell you
Right.
all kinds of these fancy metrics. But those are just metrics. Those don't help you become fitter, right? You
Hmm.
can get that and look all cool, but at the end of the day, there is certain amount of, coaching that is required, or
Of course.
personalization that is required, that is beyond these devices. So
Correct.
Fitter, with its platform, along with their smart devices, it can actually be a huge benefit for Fitter, and a huge competitive advantage amongst all of these other companies. So they've just launched this thing called the Fitter Heart. It is a smart ring. It is one of the most accurate rings, and it can be compared to the $50 billion giant which is called Whoop. And
Hmm.
it does not have subscription, it does not have anything. It connects seamlessly to your fitness account,
Hmm.
Fitter
Hmm.
account.
Hmm.
And at the end of the week, your coach can actually see, okay, this guy did not sleep properly, or this guy
Right.
burnt just, let's say, 1,000 calories a day or something
Hmm.
like that, and maybe we need to up the we need to up or make the calories down and stuff like that, right? So you
Hmm.
can
Hmm.
do all kinds of adjustments through the Fitter
Right.
platform, which you won't be able to do outside, right? And now, Fitter does not really want to stop at just like smart rings. All right, they want to grow this wearable and smart devices wala thing. They want to expand this into other offerings,
Hmm.
and all of that will essentially come and get seamlessly integrated with the Fitter app. So, for example, JC had just posted a couple of weeks back that they might do things like smart scale. So what that will essentially do is that you can just get that, and based on what you're putting inside the smart scale will automatically detect how many calories you're actually eating versus
Hmm.
and compare it with what your coach has suggested, and really give you a better analysis. And with all of this, the probability of you getting fitter faster becomes really high. So I think
Hmm.
with all of these things, it's a pretty interesting model that
Right.
that they have, right? And finally, the third thing, which is their third business model, it's pretty new, and it's very interesting. So Fitter actually has a huge community, and we'll talk about the community-led growth in a bit. But they have a huge community, right? And what they realized was that there were certain groups of people. So there is this huge community that you can post on, ask your questions, etc., etc. But within a certain, people wanted to meet within a certain city, within a certain country. So they started sort of creating these small groups that people could join, and now they're kind of monetizing all of these groups. So for example, if you want to join the Delhi group and be part of the Fitter community, the Fitter Delhi community, you need to pay 250 rupees a month. Similarly, similarly, they have this thing called as a transformation challenge, which is
Hmm.
a 3 to 4 month long challenge. But I don't know the exact number of months it's on for. It's, I think it's between 3 to 4 months, I think. But the point is that within those 3 to 4 months, you can pay 100 rupees, be part of it, and you will be accountable. So every week you need to post a picture, and at the end
Hmm.
of the transformation challenge, within every age group, within every weight class, they will announce certain winners, and you will get some prizes at the end of it, right? So all of
Okay.
this is just to engage the community more,
Hmm.
make them accountable, make them part of this community, so that they can
Hmm.
become fitter together. So very
Right.
interesting. Yeah. With that said, let's get to the most interesting part of this video, which is how they essentially grew their community and the community growth model.
Yeah. So it's very interesting, Rakshit. Now, I think I was a little astonished by what JC said on one of these podcasts, which is that Fitter actually made $1 million in the first year with almost zero marketing CAC, right? And they had like a 90,000 or something, like some kind of a investment. I don't take this as marketing CAC, but $1 million with a zero marketing CAC is it's berserk, like it is crazy, right? Because the amount of money people are throwing at marketing to build businesses, it's a lot, right? So, and even the fact that even at present Fitter does very minimal marketing. Like, I've personally not seen a lot of I've not seen any ad from them in reality. I think they tried ads for a while. I don't know if they're still running them, but majority of the customers still come from the community, right? So this is very interesting. Like, we've not talked extensively about the community model at large, right? So I think what we can very quickly cover are three things, right? Which is, why should you build a community, who should build a community, and how should one build a community, right? Largely, I think the first thing, which is again, why should one build a community? Having worked a lot of years in marketing, I've realized that one of the most important, like, critical aspects of increasing conversions, right, whether it is through paid, whether it is through zero cost marketing, is to increase intent with customers, right? Like, whenever you increase trust among audiences, whenever you are constantly acquiring more and more share of voice, right? If you're popping up on the feed of customers very often, right, there's more intent building. With more intent comes more trust, and with more trust comes more sales, right? It's a perfect sort of marketing funnel, right? So this is where you have event marketing, where people host these workshops and sessions. But with events, the problem is very simple, that it's you have to be very consistent. You have to organize more events, more resources, time, money, etc. With communities, however, it's the perfect balance of all the elements, right? So you have, it's something that you require much lesser effort on, because you just keep scaling a single community or maybe a few communities, right? And this community again becomes a flywheel, wherein more, the more people you acquire onto the community, more insights are generated, and these people then go on to tell their friends and family as well, right? So it's an amazing way to sort of build a very strong connection with the audiences, and also scale at basically zero CAC, right? And this is what Fitter did, right?
You spoke about intent, right? And I feel that it's so important to have the right intent of audience, right? And Fitter has actually done that pretty beautifully. If you really think about it, do you know the average age of a client of Fitter? What's the average
No,
age?
I don't. No.
Guess it.
25, probably.
It's actually
25 to 30.
35 plus. It's actually 35 plus. And
Okay.
the reason for that is that when you're 25, 26, and when you're
Yeah.
smoking, you're drinking, you're doing all of those things, it doesn't affect your
Huh.
body. The moment you hit 30, the moment you hit 30, that's when the realization comes that,
Yeah.
look, my body is screwed now. And
Huh.
like I have a baby, but I can't, when I try to lift my baby up, my back is gone. So
I
now
I
I realize that, I need to be fitter more.
I think with fitness, it's always like you have to undergo some kind of suffering, and this is just a personal account, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was kind of, I'd say, a weakling in school, so you have to undergo some suffering to
Yeah,
start,
yeah,
because like
yeah,
body gymming, bodybuilding. I think both me and Rakshit, for that matter, have been into gymming like for a couple of years now. So
yeah.
so yeah, it's a journey, and not everyone hits it so early on, I guess. So the second thing we can maybe talk about is like, who should build communities, right? And I think we've already spoken about a lot of community building in multiple other videos as well. If you've not watched videos on Aether and No Broker, maybe check those out. But even like companies which are not the most obvious candidate for building a community are actually building great communities. Take Aether for instance, right? Like, why would a scooter company build a community? But they've done that really well, right? And the point is that it's not a question of who can build it. It's more a question of, um, is this something you really see yourself doing long term, and do you see yourself offering enough value to consumers, right? Because I mean, anyone can build a community and just shit post content, just dump content everywhere from everywhere, right? But if you really want to grow a community model, it has to be a self-sustaining growth, in the sense that it has to be a product in itself, right? Which is why you have to offer value, you have to be in it for the long run, and you can't just post sponsored content or like spammy content all the time, right? So that's a question you probably need to ask yourself. Now, how should you build a community is very interesting, and we can look at Fittr's example here, right? Because the way Fittr started, according to JC, is that they worked up from a WhatsApp group. So they had a, I think, 1,000 people WhatsApp group where they mentored a lot of clients. They posted fitness photos, transformation photos. At some point, obviously WhatsApp has a capping on the amount of size of a group, so they shifted to a Facebook community. After which, I think right now they even have an Instagram community alongside their app, which is like the main hub for all the community model, right? So it's very interesting how they've actually gone about it, right? And it gives me a lot of lessons, right? Now most people might give you a blanket advice key, start a community on Slack or go to Reddit because the target audience is there. Now what I think we really feel, and this maybe Rakshit also agrees with me, is that it's not so important of like where to start, but more important of how, of which platform will get you the most amount of engagement, in the sense that you need people to be coming up as often as possible and connecting on a very frequent basis, right? And this is what Fittr did, right? Wherein, because WhatsApp is something that everyone opens, and I don't know if you have the same problem, but I can't leave chats unread on WhatsApp, so I open it at
Mm.
some point, right? Like the
Yeah.
green symbol, it's a very annoying like PM strategy,
Mm.
but like it's something that I have to open. So WhatsApp becomes like the most like high open rate kind of platform to build a community, right? So it's from there. So I think the starting strategy again here would be that you need to build a community where your audience will be most active, right? Once there's an active audience base, you can always probably shift them to other platforms. Like in Fitter's case, what they did was that they built from WhatsApp, shifted to a bigger community where more users can come in and probably grow on from there, right?
Yeah.
And at some point when you even reach the app stage, for example, right, like there's so much more you can do. In Fitter's case, they're doing a lot, right? Like they're posting transformation photos. They have hyper specific city groups, where people from the same area can come together, discuss, host challenges. So there's so much you can do, right? Now, the important thing here is that you always have a core offering, right? Now, very interestingly, I think we could maybe give a brief account of what we have done at Perspectify, right? Like when me and Rakshit started the Perspectify community, we had like probably 50 people, coming in. We wanted to post about our videos, host some discussions and debates. But at some point, what we realized is that people enjoy consuming crisp insights. So that's what we've been doing ever since, where, you have a brief dose of marketing or product insights on a daily basis, and that's why people sort of have been joining the community of late. So that's become our core offering, which we accidentally actually landed on it. And in case of Fittr, it's the fact that JC, being the basically the fitness god that he is, he's always coaching, answering questions, etc. of people on the group, right? So that's the clear core value offering that is, that people are getting. And probably obviously the whole community effect of the whole social effect of the fitness, right? So I think that's what you have to do. You have to identify core offering that becomes a flywheel, and that's how you basically grow from there, right? So I think, succinctly putting it, it's, I think, for Fittr, community has been like an amazing model to grow, especially using zero CAC marketing. And I think you already enlisted a bunch of points on how to successfully do it. Again, if you'd like to keep up with a lot of updates from Perspectify, you can always join our Perspectify community, a small marketing plug there. And with that said, that's a wrap on today's episode of Perspectify. Again, if you liked our episode so far, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, join our community. The link will be in the description box. With that said, that's all from us. Take care. Have a good day.